Greetings, welcome to another video. It's Tuesday 19th of July 2022 and today's absolutely melting, as everyone knows by now. Because where I work in Horton Wood, the building that I work at had a complete and utter power cut sometime last night, and nobody knew about it until we turned up for work this morning, so we were stuck outside for a while. And well, because the power cut hadn't been fixed, a lot of us were sent home, and I ended up having today booking it off as a holiday day. Now, because of a complete and utter melting temperature going on today, I thought I'd go straight home, spend some time there playing on the Xbox 360, especially a game called Skyrim, but I eventually got bored of that. The heat was getting to me even at home, so to stave off the boredom, to avoid getting bored as much as possible, I thought I'd come down to Town Park and try and do some reading, basically, because I was going through my pockets and all that, and found out this book I've got, In the Footsteps of the Abominable Snowman, which, considering today's weather and heat, seems rather appropriate, I think. Yeah, a few years ago, and sometimes also nowadays, I loved visiting second-hand bookshops, basically. Whenever I had some spare time, a day off or whatever, and there was a second-hand bookshop near to me at the time, I'd always end up going there, looking through it, and especially the old science fiction books that were on sale. And to be honest, some of the more fun and entertaining, some of the more interesting science fiction books I've ever read was something completely random I found in a second-hand bookshop, and this is one such example. I'll read you something from the back of a book. These stories are a few of the original thought-provoking ideas contained in the Footsteps of the Abominable Snowman, written by Josef Nesvadba. Josef Nesvadba is Czechoslovakia's leading contemporary science fiction writer, whose work is now receiving the acclaim it so justly deserves. This is one of a number of books which Brian Aldiss and Harry Harrison have selected from among the titles famous in their time and important for their effect on the development of science fiction. They are all masterpieces, though some have been unjustly neglected, and form a comprehensive collection of all those lively and diverse books that have made science fiction the most prophetic form of fiction in history. So yeah, you'll notice I said the country Czechoslovakia, which doesn't exist anymore. During the 1990s, it split to become the Czech Republic and Slovakia, two separate countries. But obviously that was only a recent event, and it used to, both countries together as one nation were known as Czechoslovakia. And this book here that I've got, turns out it was first published in 1964, and then it was republished in 1970, and then published again with the introduction in this copy I've got in front of me in 1979 by the looks of it. But yeah, the stories, it's only a small handful of stories going on here, but they are, in my opinion, a fascinating selection of, well, Eastern European uh, Central European science fiction from the 1960s. And reading stories like this from the 1960s is just fascinating, because imagining how the future would be and how the future would become from the point of view of a writer in the 1960s, and then comparing it to how reality turned out to be. And well, when my head's getting into a story like the ones in this book, I just find it just fascinating and really entertaining and all that. So in this particular book, the past few days or so, I've read all but one of the stories. I think I'm down to the last story in this book, which is appropriately enough called In the Footsteps of the Abominable Snowman. So it's going to be interesting to read, and I thought I'd give it a crack today of all days, because it just seemed a fun thing to do. And of course, I thought it'd be a good idea to actually talk about the book itself briefly, and just basically say I've enjoyed reading it, and I always have enjoyed finding random books like this from second-hand bookshops. I've got a whole pile of books similar to it at home, and also not just from second-hand bookshops but from ordinary bookshops as well. A whole selection of books I've purchased myself, or which were given to me for birthday or Christmas presents by friends and family. And right now I'm getting the idea in my head that will be a good idea to make videos talking about these books, you know, and just seeing what people think of them. I would like to get into reading books all over again, basically. The past few months or so, I've been far too easily distracted with stupid little silly stuff which proved to be random wastes of time, really. So I've got to be more focused, more disciplined, and try to be not so easily distracted, basically. Well, at the end of the day, obviously that's entirely on me to sort out, but based on my own experience, I'm going to say to anyone watching this video, if you enjoy reading and you just love a good book in your hands, it doesn't matter if you read only once a month or if you're reading a new book each and every week. Basically, it doesn't matter how often you read or how random it is you find a book in your hands. Either way, it doesn't matter how often or how little you end up reading a new book. The point is, you just enjoy reading in the first place, and sooner or later you have a new book in your hands that you enjoy reading. With that in mind, as I said, in my experience at least, the best place to go for a new book, something random, some kind of hidden gem, something you might unexpectedly and quite surprisingly enjoy reading, is, in my opinion, a second-hand bookshop. Some of the best, hilarious, fascinating and honestly enjoyable books I've ever found is in a second-hand bookshop. So yeah, that's my opinion anyway. Second-hand bookshops are a true treasure trove of stuff to read. I mean, of course, ordinary bookshops can also produce some fantastic books to read as well. Let's be honest, I found some really good books in Waterstones a couple of times. And one Christmas, my brother got me a copy of the science fiction novel Dune, which I'm looking forward to reading sometime very soon. But no, it's like second-hand bookshops for prices are also amazing. I think the most expensive book I've ever had from a second-hand bookshop Yeah, it's been about £6-7. Mostly, I've never had to pay more than £4, maybe £5 for a book from a second-hand bookshop, or even a car boot sale. Most books I find, if I'm lucky, are like £6 or less, whereas the same book might have cost you 2 or 3 times that amount in other bookshops. So that's another gem going on, the bargains, the absolute bargains that you might find. But at the end of the day, it's down to each of us to find our way to... Sorry, I'll say that sentence again because I've got a bit tongue twisted. At the end of the day, it's down to each of us to find our own way when it comes to books and finding something that suits us to our different interests accordingly. Me, it happened to be science fiction. For somebody else, it could be pirate adventures. For somebody else, it could be some kind of romance novel. Maybe even there's a couple of good books where it's a combination of all three: science fiction, pirate adventure, romance. You never know. I'd be surprised if such a book don't exist at the end of the day. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to finish this video here. Thank you for watching me talk about this book. I'm going to crack on and read it, basically. And after that, like I said, think about if there's any more books I've got to make videos about. There's plenty I want to read, at the very least. We'll just see how things go. Thank you everyone for watching. Take care. Tongue twisted again, I'm sorry. Take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you all soon in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.